One by one, America's most trusted brands are vanishing from store shelves around the world. Not because of war, not because of politics, but because entire countries are quietly replacing them with something unexpected. From fashion in Australia to protein powder in Dubai, from French supermarkets to Indian spice aisles, a new flag is taking over the products we buy every day. And if you think this is a temporary blip, the numbers will shock you. Number 1. Australia. A fresh hoodie. Perfect denim. Everyday athletic wear that just fits right. For years, Australians turned to Levi's, Gap, and Nike for that balance of style and comfort. But lately, something strange is happening from Sydney to Brisbane. Those familiar labels are disappearing, replaced by Canadian tags most Australians didn't even know 5 years ago. And it's not about the clothes changing, it's about trust shifting. Behind the scenes, Australian retailers were growing frustrated with American suppliers, late restocks, sudden price jumps, and rigid contracts. US brands also forced Northern Hemisphere fashion cycles onto Southern Hemisphere markets, a mismatch that hit a boiling point in late 2024. Australian retail councils began actively searching for alternatives, something fresher, more adaptable, and less tied to corporate red tape. Canadian brands like Roots, Tentree, Frank & Oak, and Joe Fresh moved in fast, partnering with major chains like David Jones and The Iconic. Their pitch? Ethical sourcing, quick turnaround times, and climate-appropriate designs tailored to Australian tastes. By early 2025, Canadian apparel sales had jumped 28%, while US denim and lifestyle brands fell 15%. This isn't just fashion, it's cultural alignment. Canadian labels leaned into environmental messaging, local collabs, and sustainable packaging. US brands relied on old-school celebrity endorsements and legacy reputation, and it felt stale. The fallout was quick. Gap closed 3 stores. Levi's lost a key logistics contract. Nike, still strong worldwide, is now undercut by newer Canadian athletic labels. Analysts say if US fashion giants keep relying on history instead of regional trust building, they won't just lose sales. They'll lose cultural relevance. And in retail, once you lose that, shelf space almost never comes back. Number 2. UAE. Without headlines, something started changing in Dubai's high-end supermarkets and wellness stores. Protein powders, premium cosmetics, halal snacks, upscale hygiene products, once imported from the United States, were suddenly Canadian. In a country where image is currency, that's a huge statement. For decades, the UAE was a showroom for American exports, from Whole Foods-style grocers to mall cosmetic counters featuring Revlon, GNC, and Crest. But cracks began to show. U.S. brands faced delays after supply chain reforms. Worse, multiple product lines failed new halal certification requirements rolled out in early 2024. Canadian companies moved instantly. Jameson Vitamins, Natural Factors, and Maison Orphy reformulated products to meet every halal and sustainability standard, and were rewarded with priority shelf space in Spinneys, Lulu hypermarkets, and top wellness chains. Jameson alone saw a 42% sales spike across the Gulf in 2025. More than just replacing U.S. goods, Canadian products are now seen as cleaner, more reliable, and culturally aware, especially in plant-based protein, cruelty-free skincare, and eco-friendly packaging. Even Canadian sparkling water and organic teas are climbing prestige ranks, edging out Arizona iced tea and similar U.S. staples. Insiders say UAE buyers are adding Canada First clauses to procurement contracts in certain wellness categories. Unless U.S. brands adapt, they'll be shut out of one of the wealthiest per capita markets in the world. And in luxury markets like this, losing shelf space isn't just lost revenue, it's a loss of prestige. Number 3. France. In France, the red, white, and blue flag on packaging is losing its charm, at least when it's on detergent boxes, beauty bottles, and snack wrappers. From Nice to Nantes, American labels are fading from store shelves, not out of protest, but quiet preference shifts. For decades, U.S. household brands thrived here. Colgate toothpaste, Tide detergent, Betty Crocker mixes, Quaker granola bars, they were affordable and familiar, until those same qualities started feeling impersonal, excessive, and sometimes non-compliant. In 2024, France's consumer watchdog flagged several U.S. products for outdated chemical formulas and packaging that didn't meet new sustainability rules. French consumers, already skeptical of mass-market imports, took note. Distributors began replacing them with Canadian brands like Attitude, the Green Beaver Company, and Maison Orphy. These companies offered recyclable packaging, cruelty-free certification, and clear ingredients lists, all in bilingual French labels ready for the market. Chains like Carrefour and Monoprix increased Canadian product contracts by 30% in under a year. Meanwhile, U.S. shipments faced customs delays, lost premium shelf spots, and in some eco-conscious stores were pulled entirely. In France's retail circles, Canada is now seen as the ethical importer, a title once reserved for Scandinavian countries. Canadian imports in household goods rose 26%, while American imports dropped 18%. This isn't just about regulations, it's about trust and values. And once French shoppers feel that trust is gone, it's almost impossible to win it back. Number 4, India. The aisles look familiar, until they don't. Basmati rice, cooking oil, lentils, and snack packs are all neatly stacked, but the names on the labels are changing. Across thousands of supermarkets and corner stores, the stars and stripes are fading. In their place, Canadian exports, stepping into roles once held by America's most recognizable food and personal care brands. This isn't a boycott. It's quiet. It's everywhere, and it's speeding up. For years, India's rising middle class looked to the U.S. for premium imports. From Quaker Oats to Johnson's baby lotion, American goods carried the image of cleanliness, modern living, and aspiration. But by late 2024, the tide began to turn. Customs delays, new anti-dumping duties, and unstable U.S. export pricing started breaking a once reliable supply chain. In cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bengaluru, retailers were missing deliveries and losing money. Canada stepped in fast. Leveraging its long-standing trade pact with India, Canadian suppliers rerouted lentils, dry goods, frozen foods, and skincare through newly expanded hubs in Gujarat and Tamil Nadu. By early 2025, Canadian pulses from Saskatchewan and Manitoba were replacing U.S. products in major cities. And it wasn't just staples. Canadian snack makers launched India-specific packs in Hindi, Tamil, and Bengali, with smaller sizes and local flavors built for Indian store shelves. Insiders say the difference was immediate. Canadian goods arrived on time, cleared customs faster, and came with tougher safety certifications. A big selling point for a market that values purity and wellness. U.S. brands, on the other hand, stumbled. They couldn't adapt quickly enough to new rules and were outpaced by more agile Canadian rivals. Even in beauty aisles, Canadian deodorants, shampoos, and baby moisturizers overtook American staples in chains like Apollo and Guardian. From January to May 2025, India's imports of U.S. processed foods fell 17%. Canadian imports in the same category rose 31%. But beyond the numbers is a bigger change. American labels no longer automatically mean quality to Indian shoppers. For many, they now read as overpriced, overprocessed, and culturally out of touch. Canadian goods are marketed as ethical, clean label, and aligned with modern Indian values. And that positioning is winning. This isn't a temporary shift. It's a sign that in global trade, loyalty is no longer inherited. It's earned. And when a billion-person market changes its mind, the whole world pays attention. Number 5. Germany. It starts small. A granola brand you've never seen before. A different logo on cleaning spray. A yogurt label that turns out not to be American, but Canadian. Across Germany's famously orderly supermarkets, pharmacies, and organic shops, U.S. household and grocery brands are being quietly replaced. No headlines, no press statements, just expired contracts, reassigned shelf space, and a new set of rules in Europe's economic powerhouse. Germany has always been picky about imports, prioritizing precision, transparency, and product integrity over flashy marketing. For decades, Kellogg's, Colgate, and Procter & Gamble held their ground because they were reliable, until they weren't. The shift came in mid-2024, when Germany's Federal Institute for Risk Assessment released a report criticizing some U.S. foods and personal care products for containing chemical additives banned in the EU. American companies downplayed it. German buyers didn't. Retailers like Edeka, Ruwe, and DM moved quickly, reaching out to Canadian producers who were ready to comply with strict EU standards. Brands like Nature's Path, Green Beaver, and Seventh Generation started getting large orders, often with requests for co-branded German labels and top-tier sustainability practices. In under 6 months, Canadian imports in personal care and grocery jumped 33%, while U.S. brands were squeezed out, not by politics, but by failing to meet evolving standards. German distributors now call Canadian suppliers low-friction partners, transparent, adaptable, and quick to reformulate. Even in infant nutrition, baking ingredients, and plant-based dairy, Once US-dominated categories, Canadian alternatives are popping up in Berlin cafes and high-end organic subscription boxes. This wasn't loud, it was surgical and total. Analysts say Germany's move could trigger a domino effect. Austria and the Netherlands are already showing increased Canadian trade, while Belgian retailers are testing maple-based breakfasts and Canadian supplements. Germany isn't walking away from US goods in anger. It's walking toward better partners. And when the EU's largest economy replaces you, the world hears the message loud and clear: you're not essential anymore.